Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. November 15th, 2017.
105 here on the great WRKO. Okay, jam-packed hour for you. More fallout from the state trooper scandal. Ay, ay, ay. It gets worse and worse. Also, a big story coming out of the governor's office. Charlie Baker now lays out his plan to battle opiate addiction. But is it serious and is it credible? But first, the poll question of the day, sponsored by Bill Kelly Financial Services. Do you think Roy Moore will step down? Is this the end for Roy Moore? If you believe the answer is yes, he will eventually cave to all of this massive withering pressure. Text the letter A to 680-680. If you believe the answer is no, he will not. He's in it to the end, no matter what. Text the letter B to 680-680. As always, you can vote online at WRKO.com. Brittany, what are the poll results thus far?
78% no. 22% yes.
You know, I'm with the 78% on this one. I think he's stubborn. I think he's, in his own way, a very principled man. And I think he's going to fight this thing to the end. I don't see him dropping out or stepping aside. I could be wrong. But as things stand right now, I think he's going to take this all the way to the end. Okay. What is incredible is the very people who are now acting as his judge, jury, and executioner, i.e. the political elites in Congress. Almost now all of them united, Democrat, Republican, House, Senate. They will not allow Roy Moore to be seated, even if they say he wins the election on December 12th. So you would think, because they're so appalled by allegations of sexual assault, sexual harassment, whatever, attempted rape, whatever. Boy, these guys, they got to be Jeff Kuhner. They got to be clean as a whistle when it comes to this sort of stuff. Well, guess what? They're the biggest phonies, liars, and hypocrites on the planet. So, listen now to this. It has now been revealed that Congress, for years, has had a secret slush/hush fund. Actually, they're calling it a shush fund, whereby over $15 million of your taxpayer dollars, my money, your money, was set aside to help members of Congress pay off and pay settlements to all of the women that they have been sexually assaulting or harassing. To be specific, $15.2 million of our money. So it doesn't come out of their pocket, or let's say they carry insurance or whatever. It comes out of our pocket. But it gets even worse. So not only have they been paying off these women, or paying settlements, to the tune of at least $15 million that we know of. But listen to this. Roy Moore cannot be seated in the U.S. Senate. They're going to declare the election null and void, no matter what happens, because of allegations 40 years ago. 40 years ago, okay? If you are a victim of sexual assault or harassment, you must settle within, listen to this, 180 days. The victim must come out and make his or her complaint within 180 days, or else they don't consider it legitimate or valid. They don't even give you a stinking year. They're giving you 6 months. Roy Moore, 40 years, he's finished. You work up on Capitol Hill, and let's say one of them gropes you or grabs you or assaults you or whatever they, tries to fondle you or whatever it is. You've got 6 months, baby. That's it. You don't file your complaint within 6 months, it's considered illegitimate and null and void. Moreover, After you filed your complaint within the 6 months, within 30 days, you must immediately, whether you want to or not, you must go into counseling. And not only do you as the victim have to go to counseling, you also have to go then immediately into mediation. In other words, your hands are tied every step of the way. And here is the kicker. No matter what, after the settlement money has been paid out, of our money, you must sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. So the public never knows that, let's say, Congressman A sexually harassed you or sexually assaulted you, whatever, and has admitted to it. And let's say you got a $500,000 payout or whatever it is, a $1 million payout. That stays secret. The entire system is built and designed to protect the members of Congress, the ruling class. But I want you to think about this. This is the mother of all points, as Saddam Hussein would put it. The mother of all points. These are the very same members of Congress who pass law after law, rule after rule, regulation after regulation that regulates the entire workforce. Your workforce, my workforce, all of these crazy rules. Oh, you look at somebody the wrong way. You got to go to HR. That could be harassment. Oh, you touch somebody on the shoulder. That could be considered harassment. You have to go to HR. You say, oh, it's a nice dress, or that looks great on you. That's harassment. Go to HR. So these are the ones who pass the most draconian sexual harassment laws that have caused utter chaos in the workplace, have caused almost a chill effect in work relations, because now nobody knows how to behave. Because everybody's thinking, well, is this harassment? Is this harassment? Am I harassing somebody? What can I say? What can't I say? They pass those very laws, but they don't live under the laws that they pass, just like Obamacare, okay? And many others. But let that go. It's now come out that there is what they call a creep list, a list of at least 50 lawmakers up in Congress currently serving, whereby female staffers have been told. It's a list that's passed around all over Capitol Hill. Okay, I knew about this list when I was an editor at the Washington Times. It's common knowledge. Okay, in fact, I think I know many of the names that nobody wants to mention, but that are being bandied about because their reputations are notorious. There is a creep list whereby female staffers are told, never be alone with this person in a room or in an elevator. Because if you are alone with this member of Congress or this senator, they will grab you. They will grab you, they will touch you, they will fondle you, in other words, you're going to get assaulted. So you cannot be alone with them. And these are the same ones standing in judgment of Roy Moore? These are the same ones? I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it's so ridiculous. These are the same ones wagging their finger, saying, we're not going to seat this guy. This guy's beyond the pale. He's unfit for office. They're doing the same thing in their own elevators with young female staffers, many of them interns as young as 17 or 18. In fact, don't even take my word for it. Yesterday, Congresswoman Jackie Speer, California Democrat, I don't agree with her on much, but on this, I agree with her, says that, when she was a very young intern, she was sexually harassed by a lawmaker, in fact, sexually assaulted almost by a lawmaker, and then she testified yesterday saying there are two current lawmakers, she wouldn't name them, I don't know why, she should, one a Republican, one a Democrat, where everybody knows they are sexual predators, and yet they're still roaming the halls of Congress. Roll it, Brittany.
In fact, there are two members of Congress, Republican and Democrat, right now, who have been subject to review or not have been subject to review but have engaged in sexual harassment. These harasser propositions such as, are you going to be a good girl? To perpetrators exposing their genitals, to victims having their private parts grabbed on the House floor. All they ask in return as staff members is to be able to work in a hostile-free work environment. They want the system fixed and the perpetrators held accountable.
Now, I think I know who these two are. In fact, there are many more. She just named two. Now, she should have named them. I'll be very honest with you. She should have named them. That's the problem. It's a club. It's a go-along to get-along club. So nobody wants to name names because everybody needs a favor from somebody. That's how it is. It's a very incestuous relationship. It's a bubble. It's a ruling class. And they protect their own. They all watch each other because they all know they're going to make a ton of money. So it's like an unspoken thing. Look, we're all going to do well. We're all going to make out like bandits. So let's be careful. Nobody wants to rock the boat. Okay, that's why, by the way, they hate Trump and they hate all insurgents and outsiders, because then you're destroying their cozy, powerful, elite power structure that they've created. She should have named them. But I knew this when I was at the Washington Times. They grab women on the House floor, on the Senate floor. I mean, they grab them. I mean, they grab them. I mean, they grab them everywhere. Forgive me. And they think it's a big joke. And people often ask me, and they used to always ask me this when I was at the Washington Times, how come these politicians are so sexually out of control? And I say, I'll tell you why. It's very simple. Most of the politicians that I've met, not all, but most of them, are geeks. They're geeks. They're people that really weren't popular in high school, never had much going for them. I'm being very candid with you. Never had much going for them. They weren't even really that smart. They weren't the athletes. They just were not popular. They're geeks. They're nerds. And suddenly, they get all of this power and potential wealth, and they're surrounded by all of these female staffers. And to be very candid with you, many of them are, they're attractive, and they're young. A lot of interns, 17, 18, 19, 20. A lot of these staffers are 22, 23, 24, and they lose their minds. And they know that if you want to rise on Capitol Hill, you don't complain. So a member of Congress, senator or congressperson, could make or break your career with a recommendation. And it's an open secret. In fact, Jackie Spear later in her testimony admitted to this. Some women actually sleep with the men, with the members of Congress. They consent to sleep with them because they know that's the way to advance. Like in Hollywood. It's very similar to Hollywood. Now, these are the people who stand in judgment of us. These are the people, with all due respect, that are standing in judgment of Judge Roy Moore. Are you kidding? Oh, really? Are you kidding me? I want to make one final point, and then I want to go back into the phone lines. God is my witness, like I'm in the confessional. I don't understand this. I really don't. Whether it be Harvey Weinstein, all these Hollywood actors, elite media types from MSNBC, CNN, NPR, the New York Times, now prominent people in business, and now all of these politicians. Just grabbing women, groping women, fondling women, ogling women. I don't know if it's me, honestly. I don't know if it's my upbringing. I don't know. Maybe I belong to a different time or a different era. I don't know. But I was raised and taught by my grandfather and my parents to respect women, to value women, the inherent dignity of women. That in fact, as a man, your job is to protect women, not to treat them like they're cattle, or not to treat them like they're $10 streetwalkers, not to degrade or demean them, and God forbid, no, really, just grabbing them sexually, like just to grab them. It's disgusting. No, really, it's disgusting. And you know what I find incredible? If you look at all of these politicians, they are always the ones that are holier than thou. They know what's best on how to lead your life. And they love the poor, and they love the people who don't have health insurance, and they're all about climate change, and they're all about the oppressed, and they're all about racism, and they're always in favor somehow of the victims. But when you see how they actually conduct their personal lives, they don't give a damn what they do to people, how they destroy them, or how they treat them. And that's why I'm a conservative. Tend to your own garden. Look after your own soul. Take care of your own morality. Treat others around you like the golden rule that you would want to be treated yourself. In other words, stop minding everybody else's business and start minding your own. Because I'm telling you, for you politicians up on Capitol Hill, your own business is a massive cesspool. And it's got to end now. 126 here on the great WRKO. Okay, they have a secret shush fund, $15 million. Politicians pay out settlements to women they've sexually harassed up on Capitol Hill with our money. And they're the ones that make the rules for us when it comes to sexual harassment in the workplace. Can you say hypocrite? You phonies, you fraud, you. Lee in Waltham. Go ahead, Lee.
Yes, can you say absolute power corrupts absolutely? These people go into politics because they know they can control. If they have money, they can control politics, and vice versa, okay? Now, Ray Moore must have something that they don't want. He's going to be brought into the Congress, and he's not going to go along with the rest of the rhinos. That's the story, okay? And that's what we have to find out. What does Roy Moore know or want to do that they don't want? Because Jeff Sessions has been in there since Trump started, and he has done nothing. And the scandals keep going over and over and over again. This is really more than just one thing that I think. They're trying to prevent the American people from voting for the people that they want to vote in. They're going to say, damn you people, we're putting in people that we want, and we will do the controlling, and we will do the politics. That's what I think.
You're dead on, Lee. John in New Hampshire. Go ahead, John.
Yes, thanks for taking the call, Jeff. I just wanted to find out something. The date on the yearbook signature is supposed to be December 22nd, which I find a little curious myself. I'm not sure who carries a yearbook 6 months after they graduate from high school. I mean, the flip side to that might be that the yearbook was published and brought out 6 months early. I thought the yearbooks were distributed around May, the end of the year, so you memorialize what happened during the year. But I think the date on that signature is the 22nd. And I'd also like to see some kind of forensic analysis of the ink that was used in the signature, the original page with the ink. There might be something to find there to see if it was really signed back in the 1970s.
John, thank you for that call. Look, the Gateway Pundit, they have a story. Look, I don't know. I have to look into it more. I can just tell you what the Gateway Pundit, it's one of the many news sources I go to. They say that there is, in fact, two different colors ink on that he signed her yearbook. So there is some question now about the authenticity. But look, I don't think there's much to me mystery about this. You get yearbooks at the end of the school year. It's a Southern tradition. It's a Southern tradition for somebody to go around to prominent people and say, hey, will you sign my yearbook? So it's very common, say, for a student to bring a yearbook, let's say, to which she was working at a restaurant. He was then the assistant district attorney and say, oh, Mr. Moore, Mr. District Attorney, could you please sign my yearbook? Right? The more signatures, especially prominent people, they like that. It's like a puff thing. And down south, they just talk in a very affectionate way. When he says, oh, to a more beautiful or sweeter person or whatever, I could not say Merry Christmas. So to be honest with you, Sean Hannity's going on about how this is somehow a smoking gun. I'm like, what smoking gun? It was 40 years ago. He's at a diner. She asked him to sign the yearbook. He's going to remember that? Look, they want to convict him for the sake of convicting him. That's it. That's all. Let's go for the latest. Apparently, Roy Moore's lawyer is now defending Roy Moore to the media. Evan Heidenrich has the latest. Take it away, Evan. 137 here on the great WRKO. Okay, I would be remiss if I didn't touch on these two stories, and then I want to dive right back into the phone lines. 617-266-6868. There is now even more fallout from this state trooper scandal here in Massachusetts. And mark my words, this scandal is much deeper and much wider than the mainstream media here wants to let on. And so, as you know, I talked about it yesterday. Howie, by the way, has done a phenomenal job on this story. I want to give him a hat tip. Now a second state trooper, this time the deputy superintendent, has retired before an internal investigation could be conducted. So Deputy Superintendent Francis Hughes just put in his retirement papers, and the guy, remember, who had retired or announced his retirement last week, former Superintendent Richard McKeon, he's actually moved up his retirement to today. He was supposed to officially retire next week. Now, why? Because once there is an impending internal investigation, they can no longer then apply for their retirement benefits. And so McKeon, as you know, is the man that ordered the state troopers, State Troopers Skivior and Ali Ree, to change and alter the police reports when they arrested the daughter of a prominent judge, Judge Bebo. Her name is Ali Bebo. She was herself a state hack like her father. She was a Mass Pike toll taker. She was arrested drunk. She smashed her car. She was drunk as a skunk. She was arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol and under the influence of drugs. She was high as a kite. They found a heroin kit right next to her. And not only was she drunk and stoned and they found heroin on her, she actually admitted to the two state troopers that she sold her body, she was essentially a prostitute, for money in order to pay for her addiction, for her heroin habit. She then offered to service the state troopers in the back, full service, if they would just drop the charges against her. When they said no, she then began to yell and scream, saying, "I'm the daughter of a powerful judge. He's not going to stand for this." And here's the kicker. Judge Bebo, Dudley District County, is in charge of the drug court there. And so what has now happened is that McKeon, the then superintendent, and along now with his number two, he's now been implicated in this, Francis Hughes, the deputy superintendent, both of them ordered Skivior and Ray, the two state troopers, to illegally alter the police report, take out all of the information that was humiliating or embarrassing about the judge's daughter. In fact, they ordered that records be completely destroyed to cover up for the judge and to cover up for his daughter. And these two state troopers refused to listen to these illegal orders. And then were told by McKeon and this other guy, Francis Hughes, that they were going to be reprimanded if they refused to commit an illegal act, and alter the police reports and the court records. These two state troopers risked their careers to make sure that evidence was not suppressed and that these police commanders could not violate the law and engage in the hackorama that is prevalent in this state, where they are now protecting top cronies like these state judges, like Judge Bebo. And so now another one has decided to retire. Now here is the kicker. This is what's most disgusting. There is going to be an internal investigation. The police union has now come out and admitted that the reason why McKeon and now Francis Hughes have moved up their retirements is because they will become implicated in the investigation. So to collect their pensions, and McKeon is going to get $188,000 a year. That's how much you and I are on the hook for these guys. Okay, for these hacks. The rest of his life, $188,000 a year, plus a gold-plated health care plan, plus great eye coverage, plus great dental benefits. I mean, these guys, they're well taken care of. Because had they waited another week, they would not be able to have access to the pension. Because what the internal investigation is going to show, take it to the bank, McKeon is guilty. Francis Hughes is guilty. But I think it goes even deeper than this. I think Judge Bebo was involved in this. I can't believe that these men would act simply of their own accord without giving the judge at least a heads up or a call. And I think their supervisors as well were implicated. In other words, we have police commanders, top public officials, numerous state judges. According to McKeon, he said he has altered hundreds, if not thousands, of police reports during his lifetime. This corruption is so deep. It's sort of like the Hollywood sex abuse scandal, except it's corruption and bribery and violation of the law and destruction of evidence. That these state judges and public officials on our dime have been engaging in now for God knows how many years. And the question I ask is this: where is Charlie Faker? Where is Governor Charlie Baker? He is already claiming that this investigation will continue, but he says, McKeon seems like a good guy. It was just a mistake. A mistake? He's complicit. And now they're protecting him by saying, hey, Richie, retire now. You're going to get your salary, your pension benefits, your money, everything. You just got to go now before Internal Affairs comes in and blows the whistle on everything, okay? So, Richie, keep your money, keep your pension. Francis, same thing. And we're going to be on the hook for this? No freaking way. And so what is Baker doing? Because what was one of the reasons why we elected him, we hired him? Was to clean up the state, clean up all the corruption. And instead, he is doing nothing. Instead, what he did today was he held a phony baloney smoke and mirrors press conference where now, to distract attention now from this big state trooper scandal, this massive hackorama scandal, because the public here in Massachusetts is rightly disgusted and fed up, and now all of a sudden, to divert attention from this, he's now battling the opiate addiction crisis. Now Charlie Faker, he's taken the lead. Okay, so what does Charlie Faker propose? Well, listen to this. This is, guys, this is going to clean up Massachusetts. Oh, the opiate addiction crisis, it's going to be gone in a year thanks to Charlie Faker. So listen to this. He wants to spend even more money. $110 million package. He says you got to spend and spend and spend more taxpayer money. That's the only way we're going to combat heroin and opiate addiction. And so how does he plan to do this? Well, they want to have over 1,100 new beds in treatment centers. They want to force people who have been or in emergency rooms who have overdosed. They want to force them against their will to be treated sent to a treatment facility for up to 72 hours. So now we're going to be coercing these addicts against their will to go to some treatment facility, whether they want it or not, and basically keep them on lockdown for 3 days. Detox them. And basically have 72 hours of detox. Hey, Charlie. Whoa. They want to spend more money on data, a lot more on data, so that doctors and hospitals can look at overdose records, the evaluations in patients' electronic medical records, so more data collection. They want to spend money on that. As I said, they want more treatment beds. They want to hire more counselors. They want to spend $2 million in a trust fund to start educating people in schools about the opiate abuse crisis. They want to make the anti-overdose drug naloxone available over the counter. And they want to have more access to medication-assisted treatment, recovery coaches. They want $30 million to be taken out of Medicaid to help pay for all this. In other words, treat the symptoms and not the cause. Spend more money and act or pretend like you're doing something. And of course, Charlie got all emotional. It's the game they play. And he's, too many kids are just dying, and we gotta do something, anything. Spend your money. Just spend, which means we'll have to tax. But we'll talk about that later. Spend, keep spending. Spend. And I'm not kidding. You're going to see these suburban soccer moms. They're going to watch this guy shed his crocodile tears. They're going to say, oh, Charlie, he cares. I mean, it's not going to work, but he cares. You want to solve the opiate crisis? The heroin crisis? No problem. Build the wall. Build the wall. Go after the drug traffickers. Go after the MS-13 gangbangers. Go after the Mexican drug cartels. Crack down on sanctuary cities, as I talked about yesterday, whereby you have illegal immigrant drug gangs in places like Tewksbury who are funneling in millions and millions of dollars worth of fentanyl and heroin. Crack down on illegal immigration. Crack down on the gangs, on the drug traffickers. In other words, have a real war on drugs. You want to spend money? Bring back the drug units. Give cops more resources. Police crime units, police drug units, so they can go after the drug pushers and the MS-13 gangbangers. In other words, kill the supply. Dry up the supply. Instead, all he's doing is pretending to look like he's doing something. If we become a sanctuary state, mark my words, it's going to be just like California. MS-13 and the illegal drug gangs are going to own us, lock, stock, and barrel. In 9 months of this year, just 9 months, in Massachusetts alone, 1,470 people died because of an opiate overdose. Let me repeat that. 1,470 deaths in Massachusetts because of either heroin or opiate overdose. That's just 9 months. We've still got 3 more months to go. These numbers were collected until September. That's almost as many as we've lost in the whole war in Afghanistan. In a couple of years, we lose more Americans in mass alone than were killed in the entire Iraq War. And this guy's offering treatment beds and 72-hour detox programs and tears as his answer to this, when we all know what the problem is. It's the illegals. It's MS-13. It's the drug traffickers. It's the sanctuary cities. And it's our porous southern border. Charlie Faker, all you're doing now is pretending to deal with the opiate crisis and turning a blind eye to what's going on with the state troopers and the hackorama in this state. You are dead to me. I'll tell you this. You fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm never voting for you again. Full stop. Oh, I swear, he's worse than useless, Britt. I'm telling you, really. One of the biggest regrets in my life was that I voted for that bum. We're back on? Okay, 155 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. Donna, you're up next. Go ahead, Donna.
Hey, Jeff, you know how unity is what we hear about all the time? Well, that goes both ways. I've got a great idea. The gag victims already got their money. They need to unite and talk. Name names under the premise that more facts have come out, that they just can't sit silent knowing that there will be more people abused by them. The voters have a right to know who we vote for, and we are being kept, that information is being kept from us. So how to stop it as a group? First, they get a top pro bono attorney to cover them as groups. Then the group agrees together. This will be a big motivator for them not to touch, kick, punch, the knee, the groin, whatever. That'll make them stop doing it to them because they're not going to want to touch you knowing you're going to do that. Get together, whether it's Hollywood or D.C. or companies, unite. The top stars refuse to act with the abusive producers, have a whole group, all of them. The top stars will be the ones that affect their bucks. Go on TV together and make a surprise announcement with names. The D.C. interns and staffers refuse to work with them. Name names now to prevent them being voted in and preventing more victims. And then, they're looking like these jihadi predators now. So, and finally, I think the Alabama voters would probably riot if the Senate refused illegally to seat more while there are existing predators in there that are still sitting there and trying to judge him. But let's unite, and then they got to name names and go public. That's the only way to stop these guys.
Donna, are you surprised? Okay, we lost it, but let me ask all of you. Are you surprised at the extent of the sexual abuse and harassment up on Capitol Hill? No, really, I mean, it's almost like the Roman Senate, the Roman Empire. It's almost like Caligula. With the lists even. No, this guy, 50 lawmakers, minimum on this list, given to all female staffers, saying, do not be alone with this guy, this congressman or senator. They will assault you. They will grab you. They will grope you, whether it's in a conference room or in the elevator, or just stay away because they're going to be all over you like a cheap suit. I'm looking like, okay, maybe one or two, but 50? Ay, ay, ay. Larry in Belmont. Go ahead, Larry.
Jeff, quick statement, sir, and a couple questions.
Yes.
First, the statement. I am not surprised at all that there's a sexual assault slush fund out there. I am surprised it is so low, seeing how some of the payouts that Hollywood's been getting for these sex scandals. But I have a question for you based on the salacious nature of the swamp in D.C. Do you remember why Menendez got indicted?
It was over the corruption charges.
No. Remember, everyone knew what he was doing, but he defied Obama on some key issues, and they kept threatening him. And then they threw him under the bus.
Yes.
That's how salacious and nefarious the swamp is. They all knew what he was doing. They didn't care until he defied their leader.
Oh, Larry, no, on that, you're completely right. Oh, you're completely right. No, he was defying Obama in particular on Israel, because he's quite pro-Israel, and on Russia. He thought this whole thing with Russia was getting out of control. And so they put the screws into him good. So all of a sudden, they mentioned his relationship with a prominent Florida businessman, bribery, kickbacks, gifts that he was getting, free trips on private jets. And of course, those trips were to the Dominican Republic. So he's facing trial now for corruption and bribery charges. But when he was in the DR 4 years ago, guess what Bob Menendez was doing? He was going to sex parties where there were 16-year-old underage Dominican Republic prostitutes. And you see the videos. I mean, he's sleeping, I don't know how to say this, with many prostitutes, some of them as young as 16. So if Roy Moore is such a disgusting human being, they won't even seat him, how come they have no problem with Bobby? I mean, you want to talk about hypocrisy and double standards? This is it. Okay, coming up, special report on social media and your kids. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. Bombshell revelations next.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 2 o'clock.